friends and sane persons, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. My name is Kyle, and Wednesday Whimsy is a short show I do every Wednesday evening where I talk about a board game top 10 list, or some other gaming-related topic, or whatever else happens to be on my mind. So, I was thinking about things to talk about this week, and I've been traveling a little bit, and something I often do on traveling, or just in general when I have free time, is I sometimes enjoy playing games online. And I thought, you know what, I'll just talk a little bit about that. Some of the things that work well, some of the things that work less well, and just sort of give you my thoughts. I've actually shown a couple of times when I've talked about games that have good online implementations. I've actually talked or shown some scenes from Board Game Arena, um, which is a place that you can play games online, and I might flip over to that briefly as well while we're talking about it. So, not really a list or anything, and I'm just going to be a ramble. But let's talk a little bit about online gaming. So, when I talk about online gaming, I'm not talking about video games. I'm talking about implementations of board games that can be played through the internet with other people. I'm not really talking about, play against an AI. I'm talking about a game where you set it up and you can play it with somebody else. That person just might not be with you. In fact, this is one of the ways I played so many games of Summoner Wars, right? When the game came out, there was an app version of it. This is 1.0. And my brother and I just played it all the time. I played it with other people too, but he and I played it every single day for years. And, it was a great bonding experience and a great way to experience the game. But really, solidified for me that online gaming was a great way to experience board games with people who might not be in the same room as you. Um, so here are some things. Well, actually, let's talk about the available platforms. So I mentioned before there's such a thing as an app, right? You might have a specific board game related app that's developed by an app publisher, and that is a way to play it online. Sentinels of the Multiverse, for example, has migrated largely to an online app version of the game just because their app version was so good. There's other games like Through the Ages that have just a divine app implementation, or even Root, a game I really enjoy playing in person. It has a great app implementation that makes me think, well, am I sure I need the tabletop version? Another way to do it is there's a couple of these mods, I guess. There's one called Tabletopia, one called Tabletop Simulator. There might be another one. But these are sort of online play spaces where essentially you can get the graphics for some of the components and put them there, and you're kind of playing with them. You're not, the game isn't helping you at all. It just sort of gives you a venue where you can then go in and, draw the cards themselves. I mean, you might have sort of a deck of cards and it'll shuffle them for you or something. But you sort of have to drag everything around, flip everything over, make sure you're following the rules by yourself. And that is a way sort of to experience a game that I think requires very little overhead, or very little overhead from the publisher, because really they don't have to program anything other than the images of the various game components. But it's a way sort of for you and a person to kind of have a quasi-physical experience. It just happens to be online. And I will say I don't like those. In fact, I don't like those at all. And the reason for that is that there are so many commands and things you have to learn in order to be able just to use the software, just sort of to get into the game, that it makes it a very undesirable experience. It can add an extra hour or so to a game just because you're trying to figure out, okay, I want to draw a card. What do I do to make that happen? I need to roll a die. I want to move my piece 3 spaces. Whatever it happens to be, it's just such a chore unless you're really into that, right? If you're familiar with it and know the software, know the server, it can be a fun experience, I'm sure. I've just never had a good experience on it. I've always found myself, I felt like I was playing the interface rather than playing the game. And then the final version is kind of the one that got me thinking of this, This is going to be one of your online play spaces, but they are programmed games. So, this is a game where it's going to actually, it'll have all the rules programmed into it. It's just like playing it on an app, except you're using some sort of an internet-based interface, almost like the new Summoner Wars is now, actually. And that's the one. Board Game Arena is the main one that I use. There's another one called Yukata. There was back in the day a one that kind of introduced me to many modern games called Brettspielwelt. And, these were opportunities for you to play a game with someone, and the game sort of took care of the rules for you. Yes, there was some sort of level of learning the interface, but ultimately the game itself was programmed, and you weren't fighting an interface the whole time. So let's actually go over here and look at Board Game Arena, which, as I mentioned, is the one that I use the most. Let's see if I can get this open here. All right, so here you've got kind of the Board Game Arena interface or sort of web page. You can see this is a new game that's come out, and if I wanted to learn about it, I could click on it, and it would take me to some information. I could learn, and sometimes there's a tutorial. It looks like there isn't here. I could read the rules, though. Or I could, start a game. I'm not going to click that because, of course, then it will send out an information request to somebody else that I want to start a game. And I don't want to play this right now because that's not what I'm doing right now. You can see some of the games I've played recently on it. I've played a lot of games on this. The one I want to talk about is Altered, in specific because this was a game that came out on Kickstarter, but they released a simultaneous implementation of it on Board Game Arena. So you could learn to play it. You could actually play it and experience sort of the base version of the game, not with all of the expansions and deck building, but it was a way for you to try the game out, and it did all the work for you. All you really had to do was learn the rules and play the game. And I thought it was a great experience. It made me end up buying the game because I was able to try it out and see that I liked it. I probably wouldn't have been interested in it anymore because it's that collectible card game model that I don't love. So anyway, that's kind of how this works. If I were to go to something that has a solo mode, I don't know. Let's see if I go to does Distilled have a solo? No, it doesn't. I don't want to ruin somebody else's game. So, but you can see they have a wide variety of games. You can see, people are playing it. You can actually click here and watch a game in progress. That might be interesting. Let's just pick this one. Well, that's sorry, that is we want one that's actually live, not asynchronous. So like I go in here and I can see, this is somebody's play state, and I can click here and see the other player, see what they're doing. I can watch the moves they're making. This person has to buy their recipe now, and you can kind of see a replay of it. I'm going to leave this just because I don't want to. I don't want to just watch somebody else play a game, but you can sort of see what they're doing and how they're experiencing the game. So I really like that. Yukata is a little bit wonkier in terms of the interface, it's a little harder to use, but it's the same kind of thing. And I find that this is a fantastic way to play certain games. Some games, for example, that take a long time to set up, like Ark Nova, I can go on there, set up a game, and have it going within just a few minutes. And if I choose to play real time, I'll have just the same experience I'd have at the table without the kind of hassle of having to shuffle the cards and set things up and then put them back away again. So I think it's a fabulous way to experience games. And as I mentioned when I talked about Altered, it's a great way to try out a new game if you haven't done it yet. So, what do I think? I mean, I guess I already said, I really enjoy this concept of online gaming. I don't do it all the time. I do really enjoy setting stuff up, playing with pieces, moving them around, experiencing it, learning it, and having that face-to-face social interaction. And so I never would really choose an online game over an in-person one. But, I live alone, and, maybe lunchtime, right? I have a few extra minutes. I'll play a quick game of Res Arcana, or Right, not Arc Nova, that one's too long, but this River Valley Glassworks that's coming out. I've already played it several times online, and I've gotten a good experience out of it. So I think it's a great way to experience a game if you're traveling, right? I don't have to bring anything with me except my computer or my phone, but it's not great on the phone. It's better on a computer. Um, it's very travel friendly. It's a great way to try something new. The disadvantage is, especially on Board Game Arena, actually, there are so many games, right? There are just so many games on the platform that it can be hard sometimes to it can be hard sometimes to find another player, and that can be a little bit annoying because I might want to play something that isn't sort of in the hotness but still in their catalog. They have, I mean, lots of games in their catalog, and so I might find myself kind of in the same place as I would be at home, where I need to find another player and I can't find one, and it can be a little frustrating just to kind of sit and stare at my computer, refreshing the page, waiting for somebody to join. Don't love that. But again, it's not like it's that much different than being at home, except I haven't had to spend the time setting it up. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. I really enjoy it. I consider games there to be just the same as playing it on the table, except sometimes it handles some of the rules for me. So I think actually Board Game Arena is probably my favorite way to play, just because it's kind of platform or device agnostic. I can use it on any type of Windows or Apple device. It has a good user base. I do pay the annual subscription fee, but it's not that much, honestly, for all the use I get out of it. And a good thing about it is I can play, if I have the subscription, I can set up a game with someone else who doesn't pay for it, and we can still play the game. So as long as one person has the paid access, everybody that they know can really use it, as far as I know. And again, it's not that much money to pay for the annual subscription. So anyway, online gaming, if you have if there's a game you want to try, it might be a great option for you. It's certainly a lot easier to go in there and play something than it is to go to a store, buy a new game, learn the rules, set it up, and then play it and figure out that you don't really like it very much. That's a very disappointing experience. And an online version of the game will save you a lot of those steps, as well as a lot of money and frustration. So that's also a good thing too. There's also often great tutorials, which I didn't see in the version when I was just looking around briefly, but many games will have a tutorial that'll walk you through sort of how to play the game, and also how to use the interface in case it's not super intuitive. So anyway, give it a try. Board Game Arena. My name's KR Woods 1 there. So look me up, play a game with me, or just play with some friends. It's a great way to experience it. And that's kind of what I've got for you today. Nothing specific or focused, but I'll be back again next time with something more in that vein. So anyway, I guess we'll end it here. I'll wish you safe travels and courage when you need it, and I hope to see you back again soon, hopefully next week, on another episode of Wednesday Whimsy. Bye-bye.